Have you ever pondered about the inevitability of death and its serene, patient nature? Today, we delve into the world of Emily Dickinson, a literary genius whose work transcends time, and her hauntingly beautiful poem, Because I Could Not Stop for Death. Emily Dickinson, a name synonymous with profound and poignant poetry, was an American poet of the 19th century. Her work, often characterized by themes of death and immortality, has left an indelible mark on the landscape of literature. In Because I Could Not Stop for Death, Dickinson personifies death as a polite and considerate gentleman who kindly stops for the speaker, since she is too busy to find time for him. The poem gracefully explores themes of mortality, eternity, and the passage of time, painting a vivid, albeit chilling picture of life's final journey. So, are you ready to step into the carriage of contemplation? Join me as we journey through the stanzas of this intriguing poem. Let's delve into the first stanza, where we meet the courteous gentleman, Death. Emily Dickinson's poem opens with an introduction to a character who is not often personified in literature, Death. The first line, Because I Could Not Stop for Death, presents us with a speaker who is too busy for death. This line shows us that death is inevitable and will come for us all, regardless of whether we have time for it or not. Next, we are told that he kindly stopped for me. This line gives us our first real indication that death is personified in this poem. Dickinson presents death as a gentleman caller, a common trope in 19th century literature. This friendly, polite figure is a far cry from the typical grim reaper image we might have in our minds. In this stanza, the speaker is not meeting death on her own terms, but rather she is being guided by him. This reinforces the theme that death is inescapable and inevitable. It's a powerful reminder that no matter how much we may try to control our lives, there are some things, like death, that we simply cannot command. The carriage that the speaker and death ride in is a metaphor for the journey towards death that we all must take. The fact that the carriage holds just ourselves suggests a certain intimacy with death. It's a private, personal journey unique to each individual. And immortality is also present in the carriage. This inclusion suggests that death is not the end, but rather a transition to a different state of being. Immortality, then, is not something to be achieved or earned, but a natural part of the cycle of life and death. So, in this first stanza, Emily Dickinson introduces us to a new perspective on death. Instead of being a fearful, grim event, it's presented as a ride in a carriage, guided by a polite gentleman. It's a journey we're all destined to make, not alone, but accompanied by death and immortality. Death, it seems, is not a force to be feared, but a gentle guide leading us towards eternity. Let's move on to the second and third stanzas, where our journey with death begins. In the second stanza, Dickinson introduces the carriage, a symbol of our journey from life to death. The carriage, driven by death, is a metaphorical vessel carrying us through different stages of life. It's not a hurried journey, but rather a slow, peaceful ride, reflecting the serene acceptance of life's inevitable end. We then encounter children playing games in a ring. This image, rich with symbolism, represents the stage of childhood and innocence. The children's play is a circle, an endless loop, suggesting the cyclical nature of life and death. The innocence of the children contrasts sharply with the sobering reality of death, highlighting the universality of this journey. Next, we are taken past fields of ripening grain. The grain fields symbolize maturity and the peak of life, similar to the grain that's ripe for harvest. This image is a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of life, as ripe grain soon turns to harvested grain. The setting sun that follows is a universal symbol of the end of life. The sun, after its daily journey across the sky, is setting, just as life, after its journey through time, comes to a close. The sun dips below the horizon, leaving us in a chilling coldness, a metaphor for the finality of death. In these stanzas, Dickinson beautifully uses everyday imagery to represent the stages of life and the passage of time. The slow-moving carriage, the playful children, the ripening grain fields, and the setting sun, all together create a vivid picture of life's journey. The second and third stanzas of the poem are an intimate exploration of life's stages, from the innocence of childhood to the maturity of adulthood, and finally, the end of life. It's a journey we all must take, a journey that Emily Dickinson presents with gentle simplicity and profound depth. In these stanzas, we see life passing by as we move ever closer to our final destination. Now let's traverse through the fourth and fifth stanzas where the chill of death starts to set in. In the fourth stanza of Emily Dickinson's Because I Could Not Stop for Death, our speaker notes her thin clothing, a gossamer gown and tulle tippet. This attire, more suited for a bride than for a woman braving the chill of the evening, serves as a poignant symbol. It's not just the thinness of the clothing that's significant, but also its bridal quality. The speaker is, in essence, a bride of death, unprepared for the cold reality she now faces. Her unpreparedness for the cold echoes the suddenness and unexpectedness of death. It's a subtle reminder that no matter how much we try to prepare, death often catches us off guard. The coldness she experiences may also represent the physical reality of death, the cessation of life, warmth, and vitality. Then we have the setting sun in the fifth stanza, a universal symbol of the end. The sun, just like life, can't stay in the sky forever. It must set, giving way to the cold, dark night. And just as the day transitions into night, so does life transition into death. Dickinson uses this powerful image to encapsulate the inescapable, natural progression towards mortality. But notice the softness in Dickinson's portrayal. The sun is setting, not abruptly disappearing. This suggests a peaceful, gradual transition rather than a sudden, jarring end. It's a comforting notion, isn't it? That death might be a gentle passing rather than a violent termination. The speaker also mentions the dew forming, a symbol of the encroaching coldness of death, but also a new beginning. Dew often signifies a fresh start, a new day. So even as life ends, something new begins. Dickinson seems to suggest that death is not just an end, but also a beginning of something yet unknown. Through these stanzas, Dickinson paints a vivid picture of the transition from life to death. Finally, let's explore the last stanza, where we reach our destination: eternity. The final stanza of Emily Dickinson's Because I Could Not Stop for Death is a beautiful yet haunting exploration of the concept of eternity. Our journey brings us to a house described as a swelling of the ground. This house is no ordinary dwelling, but rather it's the final resting place of the speaker. The house, symbolic of a grave, is not grand or ornate, but a mere swelling in the earth, suggesting the insignificance of earthly life in the grand scheme of eternity. The house is further described as having a roof that's scarcely visible. This could imply the uncertainty and mystery cloaking what lies beyond death. It's a realm that's barely visible to the living, a boundary that separates the mortal life from the immortal one. The stanza continues with the speaker's observation that it's been centuries since the carriage ride, yet it feels shorter than the day. Here, Dickinson plays with the concept of timelessness in death. In the realm of eternity, centuries pass like a single day, underscoring the insignificance of earthly time measurements in the face of the infinite. This final stanza is a profound reflection on the theme of death and eternity. It encapsulates the speaker's journey from life to death, and eventually to eternity. It's a stark reminder that our mortal lives are but a brief moment in the grand timeline of eternity. The use of simple, everyday imagery to depict profound themes is a testament to Dickinson's exceptional poetic prowess. Her ability to flirt with the boundaries of life and death, time and eternity, brings an ethereal quality to the poem that resonates with readers even today. Here, in the final stanza, we find ourselves in the realm of eternity, where time has lost its meaning. It's a realm that both terrifies and fascinates, a realm that Dickinson invites us to explore through her timeless poetry. So, what can we take away from Emily Dickinson's Because I Could Not Stop for Death? It's a poem that challenges us to ponder over the inescapable realities of life, mortality, and eternity. It invites us to journey through time, from the vibrancy of life to the quietude of death and beyond. In our exploration, we delved deep into each stanza, unraveling the symbolism and imagery that Dickinson masterfully weaves. We saw how she personifies death as a gentleman caller, how she illustrates the passage of time, and how she reveals the eternal nature of the soul. But remember, these are just some interpretations. Dickinson's poetry encourages us to reflect on our own understanding and to form our own interpretations. It's a testament to the power and depth of her work that it continues to inspire and provoke thought, even after all these years. Remember, in the realm of poetry, each reader brings their own experiences and perspectives, making each interpretation unique and valid. Until next time, keep exploring the world of literature.